The screen flickered to life, a sea of fans and flashing notifications capturing every second of the live stream. MrBeast leaned forward, eyebrows arched, a grin curling with unmistakable mischief. His words cut through the digital chatter, dripping with mockery. "Come on, Congresswoman. Do you even know what you're talking about?" The cadence was theatrical, each syllable crafted to provoke, to spark reactions across millions of screens. Across the table, Jasmine Crockett sat motionless, her posture immaculate, her eyes steady. There was no flinch, no twitch, no hint of irritation. In that calm, composed frame, the tension thickened. Viewers could almost feel the air crackle as the world watched, poised on the knife's edge between ridicule and revelation. Headlines began to pop in real time. Flashing across social feeds, "MrBeast mocks Congresswoman live." Viral roast or political misstep. Crockett cornered on YouTube. Each snippet fueled anticipation, each alert layering expectation atop expectation. The narrator's voice cut through the scene, deliberate and cinematic. When spectacle met substance, the world didn't know what it was about to witness. The words hung, a prelude to chaos, a promise of something extraordinary hidden in plain sight. This was not just another online skirmish. This was a collision of two forces, one built on viral entertainment, the other on measured authority, destined to ignite every comment section, every Twitter thread, every trending list within seconds. Fans typed furiously, their curiosity palpable, their fingers trembling over the share buttons. Clips of MrBeast's taunting gestures began circulating even before the first reply from Crockett. Memes were already forming, GIFs looping, likes and retweets snowballing. The internet was alive, pulsing with the energy of the impending revelation. And then it happened. The camera lingered on Crockett's face, unreadable yet commanding, as she finally tilted her head, a single calm breath preparing to respond. The pause was cinematic. The world collectively held its breath, and within moments, millions would see a clapback no one saw coming. The stage was set. The audience was waiting. The viral storm was about to break. Rewind. The cameras had barely started rolling when the tension in the room became almost tangible. This was no ordinary YouTube segment. This was a live broadcast watched by millions, a digital coliseum where every word, every expression, every pause would be dissected in real time. Notifications pinged across devices, comments scrolled faster than the eye could follow, and the anticipation was electric. MrBeast had cultivated a reputation that few could rival. His stunts, giveaways, and viral antics had turned him into a household name, a master of spectacle whose every gesture could ignite the internet. He was comfortable in this world of instant reactions, viral trends, and performative energy. To him, this was another stage, another opportunity to entertain, and to dominate the conversation. Jasmine Crockett, in contrast, carried a very different reputation. A congresswoman grounded in years of advocacy and public service, she was disciplined, strategic, and unshakably composed. Her voice carried weight, her intelligence undeniable. Where MrBeast thrived on flamboyance and chaos, Crockett embodied measured authority. Her calm was not a lack of engagement. It was a deliberate, calculated presence that demanded attention, even when it didn't scream for it. As the live stream continued, social media erupted. Clips from the first few seconds were already circulating. Tweets appeared almost instantly. "This is going to be insane. Crockett doesn't back down. MrBeast thinks he can clown her. Think again." Fans and critics alike were placing bets with their attention. Refreshing feeds, retweeting, commenting, sharing. Every digital ripple amplified the tension in the studio. The world was watching, waiting to see who would seize control of the narrative. The narrator's voice cut in, smooth and deliberate, guiding viewers into the stakes at hand. This wasn't just a clash of personalities. This was a collision of influence and integrity, spectacle and substance. And what happened next didn't just go viral. It changed how the world saw confrontation online. The contrast was stark. One side thrived on reaction, on entertainment, on instant gratification. The other relied on poise, clarity, and the enduring force of truth. Each moment Crockett held her composure intensified the pressure. Each mocking quip from MrBeast, delivered with viral confidence, raised the stakes higher. Behind the scenes, producers exchanged glances. Editors scrambled to keep up with the unfolding moments, knowing that every second was content gold. Viewers on every platform felt the tension ripple through their screens, feeling the stakes as though they were physically present, witnessing not just a viral moment but a test of character in real time. The digital arena had been set. The battlefield was clear, one of loudness versus logic, of flash versus integrity, and the world could sense it. Every click, every comment, every share was more than engagement. It was a vote, a signal of which force would dominate the narrative. As anticipation mounted, the narrator teased the inevitable collision. Millions watched, holding their breath because they knew that when composure met mockery, the outcome would become unforgettable, and no one online was ready for the moment that would follow. The stage was primed, the players were poised, and the world was about to witness a confrontation that would echo far beyond a single video clip. To understand the tension unfolding in the live stream, one must first understand the man behind the viral persona, MrBeast. Born Jimmy Donaldson, he had transformed from a small-town content creator into a global phenomenon, a YouTube empire built on spectacle, generosity, and an uncanny sense of timing. Every video he produced was engineered for virality, from extravagant giveaways that made headlines to stunts so audacious they seemed impossible. Yet beneath the surface of fun and fortune was a calculated mastery of attention. He had mastered the art of provocation. On-camera antics that drew laughter in one moment could provoke outrage in the next. CEOs had been teased, politicians mocked, competitors playfully embarrassed, all in the service of engagement. His every gesture, every smirk, every quip had a precision honed over years of trial, error, and millions of views. He understood that attention was power, and power in the digital age was measured in clicks, views, and shares. Montages of his previous moments played across social media, him handing out thousands of dollars to strangers, staging elaborate challenges that left participants breathless, and moments of pointed mockery that went viral within hours. In each instance, his charisma was undeniable, his energy magnetic. Yet there was a pattern, a reliance on spectacle as a shield. The more dramatic the display, the less the world questioned substance. He had created an arena where attention itself became the ultimate currency. Narrator. He built influence by commanding attention. Yet attention alone can't defeat composure. That composure was what Crockett represented in the studio that day, a quiet but formidable counterweight to his theatrics. MrBeast's arsenal of viral charisma, humor, and mockery was powerful, but it had never faced someone who refused to react in predictable ways. Someone whose presence demanded respect without performing for the camera. For years, he had thrived on being the disruptor, the provocateur. His audience adored the spectacle, hungry for moments of shock and awe. Social media feeds were flooded with clips of his clever jabs, humorous digs, and boundary-pushing stunts. Memes formed instantly, retweets multiplied, and the world seemed to follow every move with unwavering attention. Yet in this environment, a subtle danger emerged: habituation. The more predictable the audience's reaction, the more MrBeast relied on provocation as a strategy. Attention could be bought, but influence, the kind that commanded pause and reflection, was harder to earn. And then came the moment that would test his entire approach. In the studio, as millions of viewers tuned in, MrBeast leaned into his comfort zone: mockery, exaggeration, and the performance that had always worked. He expected reaction, laughter, maybe even surprise. What he didn't anticipate was Crockett's composure, her refusal to engage on the stage he had constructed. For the first time, his carefully honed strategies faced a force that couldn't be unsettled by theatrics, a force that would turn spectacle into irrelevance with nothing more than measured words. He was not unskilled, not inexperienced, not without influence, but every talent, every skill, every viral moment relied on predictable patterns. and composure, when wielded with intent, disrupted those patterns. His strength became vulnerable in its one-dimensional reliance on performance. The narrator's voice framed the inevitable collision. He had conquered challenges, pranks, and public spectacle, yet he had never faced an opponent who refused to perform. And for all his preparation, he had overlooked a simple truth, that the loudest voice is not always the one that wins. Cliffhanger. But this time, he picked the wrong person to provoke. The stage was set, the world watching, and a master of spectacle was about to learn that influence alone could not command respect. A viral storm was coming, but the power of restraint, clarity, and dignity was already moving unseen, ready to overturn the expected narrative. Jasmine Crockett's story begins far from the flashing cameras and viral metrics of the digital world. Born and raised in Texas, she grew up observing the quiet struggles of her community, families overlooked, voices ignored, and justice delayed. From an early age, she understood that influence was not measured in clicks or likes, but in the lives one touched and the systems one held accountable. Her sense of purpose was forged in these small moments, shaping a resilience that would define her career. Her journey through law was no accident. Crockett entered the courtroom with a sense of mission, a desire to advocate for those who society had dismissed. Flashbacks reveal her defending clients who had been silenced, standing firm in the face of prejudice, and challenging institutions that underestimated her because of her gender, race, or background. Each case honed her intellect, sharpened her rhetorical precision, and reinforced her belief that clarity and composure could command more authority than outrage ever could. In the dim light of courtrooms, she learned the power of measured words, the weight of quiet confidence, and the strength that comes from unwavering integrity. As her reputation grew, so did her responsibilities. Crockett transitioned from public defender to Congresswoman, carrying with her the same tenacity and moral clarity. Her speeches, her interviews, her public appearances were always deliberate. Every statement weighed, every response calculated to represent not herself, but the constituents who had entrusted her with their voices. In a world addicted to spectacle, she was a model of poise. She did not need theatrics. She needed only truth. Contrast this with the environments she would soon confront: social media arenas, viral video platforms, and public stages dominated by performance. Her intelligence was quiet but undeniable, her confidence steady but unyielding. Where others relied on volume, she relied on substance. Where others provoked for attention, she provoked reflection. Her presence alone demanded respect, but her words elevated the conversation, bridging the gap between authority and accessibility. Narrator. She didn't come to perform. She came to prove that dignity still has a voice. This was the ethos that guided her every action, the principle that would soon collide spectacularly with viral mockery. She had faced criticism, ridicule, and condescension before, but never in a space where millions could watch, comment, and react in real time. And yet her experience had prepared her for this precise moment. The courtroom had trained her mind, her political career had honed her strategy, and her moral compass had sharpened her resolve. Early glimpses of her congressional life reveal moments of quiet heroism, standing up to entrenched power, advocating for policy that uplifted marginalized communities, and navigating the labyrinth of politics with integrity intact. Each challenge reinforced a simple truth: influence is meaningless without responsibility, and attention is fleeting unless it is grounded in respect. Her calm intelligence became her shield, her composure a weapon in a world addicted to spectacle. Unlike the viral entertainers she would soon face, Crockett's strength was subtle, persistent, and undeniable. Social media, with its constant feedback loops and appetite for provocation, had never encountered a figure like her, someone who could dismantle assumptions without raising her voice, who could command millions with clarity rather than theatrics. And yet, the collision was inevitable. The narrator teases the moment of impact, and when that voice met viral mockery, history hit record. Millions would bear witness, not to a performance, but to a demonstration of power wielded with dignity. The stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine expectations, challenge assumptions, and deliver a lesson in composure that would echo far beyond a single video. Every flashback, every courtroom victory, every legislative debate had led to this moment. Crockett's life was a testament to persistence, intellect, and moral courage. And in the face of provocation, she was prepared not just to respond, but to redefine the narrative entirely. Her story was more than political biography. It was a blueprint for what happens when preparation meets opportunity, when substance confronts spectacle, and when dignity meets the digital age. Millions were watching, yet few could have anticipated the force that Crockett brought simply by holding her ground. Ready to turn an online challenge into a historic demonstration of poise, intellect, and moral authority. The live stream returned from a brief cutaway, and the tension was palpable. Millions of eyes were glued to their screens, waiting for what would happen next. MrBeast, sensing the growing unease and the massive audience, leaned into his signature performance. His grin widened, his gestures became more exaggerated, and his voice dipped into mocking tones that were equal parts playful and condescending. Every word was calculated to provoke, every laugh a cue for the millions watching to side with the spectacle over the substance. He interrupted mid-sentence, leaning toward the camera as if to say, "This is going to be fun." His quips were rapid, meant to destabilize, to force a reaction from Crockett. The chat feeds exploded with emojis, memes began forming instantly, and social media was already a cacophony of anticipation. Viewers typed furiously, "She's not going to back down, is she?" This is getting intense. Crockett's calm is legendary, but Crockett remained immovable. Her posture was poised, her hands rested lightly on the desk, her gaze steady. She didn't flinch, didn't sigh, didn't respond with the defensive energy that most would expect. She allowed MrBeast's theatrics to hang in the air, unchallenged by volume, unshaken by mockery. Her silence was deliberate, her presence commanding attention in a way that no over-the-top performance could match. The contrast was stark, one side thriving on chaos and reaction, the other on composed authority. Narrator. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a test of character. The digital arena had become a proving ground. The viewers, accustomed to rapid-fire content and spectacle, were beginning to sense something different. The energy was shifting. Every sarcastic jab, every exaggerated gesture, was met with Crockett's unyielding calm, a silent rebuke more powerful than any spoken word. MrBeast attempted a final provocation, his voice rising slightly, eyes widening for dramatic effect. "Come on, tell us what you really think," he demanded, leaning forward as if daring her to break her composure. But Crockett held her stance. Her lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile, not of amusement, but of quiet certainty. It was a smile that carried decades of courtroom experience, battles fought with logic over theatrics, and victories won through restraint. The chat erupted. Memes began spreading. Crockett unshakable. Silence showmanship. This isn't a YouTube prank, it's history. The online audience began to shift. Some laughed at MrBeast's antics, yes, but more paused, curious about the woman who refused to react as expected. Her silence had become louder than any shout, her control more magnetic than any viral stunt. Narrator. Every exaggerated gesture, every mocking word, fell flat against the quiet force of preparation and principle. The room, and the digital world, held its breath. The energy had shifted subtly but irrevocably. MrBeast was still performing, still commanding attention, but the power had moved. It had quietly, invisibly transferred to Crockett, and the tease of what was to come lingered in the air. Narrator. And when Crockett finally spoke, it wasn't a defense. It was a revelation. The audience sensed it, the commentators anticipated it, and the millions of viewers online leaned in. Every second stretched, every moment heightened, because the stage was set for an unforgettable reversal. The digital and real-world tension converged into a singular expectation. When substance finally met spectacle, the outcome would be unprecedented. MrBeast's mockery had escalated. Crockett's patience and composure had solidified her authority, And in that charged silence, the world was ready for a moment that would redefine the rules of engagement in online confrontation. The studio fell into a hush, the hum of anticipation thick and almost tangible. Millions of viewers held their breath as Jasmine Crockett leaned forward, her eyes meeting the camera with a clarity that demanded attention. Every movement, every slight tilt of her head was deliberate, a signal that she was about to speak, and the world needed to listen. MrBeast, still caught in the rhythm of performance, blinked, expecting a flustered or defensive reaction. He had relied on mockery to disarm, on spectacle to dominate, and on viral energy to dictate the narrative. But Crockett didn't rise to the bait. She elevated above it. The silence before her words landed was deafening, the tension electric. Her voice emerged, measured yet resonant, carrying a cadence that drew attention without shouting. She reframed the question, transforming the mockery into a lens of logic. What was meant to embarrass became an opportunity to illuminate. Every phrase exposed the absurdity of the provocation while reinforcing her authority. She didn't attack for attack's sake. She deconstructed, dissected, and clarified. Narrator. In her calm, power shifted. The jester became the judged. The phrase echoed in the minds of viewers, a succinct encapsulation of the reversal. It was a moment where the expected hierarchy collapsed. The entertainer seeking dominance found himself navigating the precision of intellect he had underestimated. The camera cut rapidly between reactions. MrBeast's exaggerated grin faltered. The confidence that had carried him through countless viral moments wavered. Producers, usually behind the scenes, appeared on camera with expressions that mirrored disbelief. Chat feeds exploded in real time. Emojis, comments, and hashtags cascaded like digital fireworks. Crockett owned him! Did he just get destroyed politely? She didn't just clap back. She leveled up. The clip instantly began trending across platforms. Social media commentators dissected every nuance. Pundits paused to replay the exchange, noting tone, timing, and the precision of her rhetoric. What was designed as a viral stunt had become a study in strategy and composure. Analysts, often trained to dissect political theater, found themselves acknowledging a rare authenticity, a figure who commanded millions not through exaggeration, but through exactitude. Crockett's sentences landed with deliberate rhythm. She acknowledged the reach of digital influence, the power of attention, and the responsibility it entailed. Without raising her voice, she reframed the entire conversation. What had been an attempt at mockery became a lecture in integrity, a demonstration that preparation and principle could outperform spectacle every time. The live audience, both in the studio and online, reacted in waves. Shock, awe, admiration, all collided simultaneously. YouTube clips were clipped, reshared, remixed. The moment became not just about one viral encounter, but about the demonstration of power wielded with dignity. The digital echo chamber, usually dominated by noise, paused to witness clarity. Narrator. Every smirk, every laugh, meant to undermine, dissolved under the weight of thoughtfulness and precision. The tables had turned, subtly yet irrevocably. MrBeast's gestures slowed. His interruptions ceased. For the first time in countless broadcasts, the momentum of attention slipped from him, sliding quietly into Crockett's hands. Even commentators accustomed to sensationalism noted the subtlety. She didn't humiliate. She enlightened. She didn't mock. She reframed. The lesson was clear. Influence is temporary. Integrity is enduring. The clash of virality against virtue was resolved not with volume but with control. The online community erupted. Memes proliferated. Polite but deadly. Jasmine logic, MrBeast showmanship. Calm wins the internet. The moment became shorthand for composure over chaos, substance over spectacle. Viewers began sharing clips with captions that underscored admiration for intelligence and restraint. Narrator. In that pause between mockery and response, the world witnessed a shift. The entertainer had underestimated the strategist. Every camera angle, every zoom-in emphasized her measured authority. She controlled the narrative without ever raising her voice, proving that restraint can carry more weight than the loudest antics. The energy was palpable. Producers, staffers, and even casual viewers felt it. The impact transcended the moment. The viral clip became a cultural reference point, cited in conversations far beyond YouTube comment sections. It was discussed in podcasts, news segments, and social media threads, with many noting the rarity of witnessing someone dismantle mockery with such precision and composure. Crockett concluded her remarks with a final, succinct statement, a sentence that crystallized the reversal without a trace of bitterness. It was devastating in its simplicity, a statement that left MrBeast momentarily speechless and the audience collectively in awe. The silence that followed was not empty. It was filled with realization. Millions absorbed the weight of what had just occurred. Mockery could be answered without mockery. Spectacle could be countered with substance. Narrator. And in that silence, the power dynamic inverted. The questioner became the questioned, the jester became the lesson, and the screen became a stage for dignity. Even after the live segment ended, the reverberations continued. Clips spread, hashtags surged, and the narrative persisted across platforms. Viewers debated, shared, and reflected. The encounter was no longer a simple online confrontation. It had become a demonstration of strategy, composure, and moral authority in real time. Cliffhanger. But the reverberations of this clapback went far beyond the screen. What began as a viral stunt had sparked conversations about respect, power, and the nature of influence in the digital age. The world had witnessed a singular instance where preparation, intelligence, and calm decisively outshone flamboyant performance. This moment, framed in clarity and composure, would ripple far beyond the confines of one video. It became an emblem of restraint meeting opportunity, of principle confronting spectacle. And for millions of viewers, it was unforgettable, a masterclass in turning provocation into a statement of authority, delivered not with noise, but with unmatched precision. Within minutes of Crockett's measured response, the digital landscape ignited. YouTube notifications pinged endlessly, live clips were clipped and shared, and trending algorithms pushed the encounter to the top of feeds across the globe. Hashtags proliferated like wildfire. Crockett clapback. Grace under fire. Calm winds. Viral wisdom. Every notification bell became a reminder that millions were witnessing the collision of spectacle and substance in real time. Memes erupted, some playful, others reverent. One showed a side-by-side of MrBeast's exaggerated grin and Crockett's calm gaze, captioned, "Expectation versus reality, polite but devastating." Another turned her response into a looped clip with the title, "Silence that stunned the internet." The moment became shorthand for restraint over performance, precision over theatrics. Social feeds flooded with screenshots, reaction GIFs, and short-form clips, each one amplifying her authority and composure. Pundits and commentators scrambled to analyze every second. Late-night shows replayed the segment frame by frame, dissecting tone, timing, and rhetorical strategy. Analysts praised her for turning a setup for mockery into a viral lesson in dignity, while cultural commentators noted the wider implication. A public figure in the digital age could be celebrated not for theatrics, but for intellect and poise. The narrative had shifted, for once. Calm intelligence commanded more attention than exaggerated spectacle. Narrator. The silence that followed mockery became the loudest statement online. It was not just a viral clip. It was a masterclass in composure and strategy, reverberating across platforms and conversations. Viewers engaged in debates, dissecting what made her response so powerful. Some praised her moral clarity. Others admired the psychological precision, the way she deflected provocation without ever compromising her integrity. Critics of Crockett attempted to spin the narrative, but their efforts were clumsy. The juxtaposition was stark. On one side, reason, composure, and respect. On the other, panic, defensiveness, and scrambling explanations. Fans shared clips with captions that highlighted the lesson. Politeness is power. Integrity beats theatrics every time. She didn't just respond. She taught a class in influence. The incident transcended the platform. It became a cultural moment discussed in podcasts, news segments, and classrooms alike. The engagement extended far beyond immediate reactions. Articles chronicled the clip's virality, describing the psychological dynamics at play. Social media polls asked viewers who had truly won, the entertainer or the strategist. Almost unanimously, Crockett was cited as the figure who redefined influence in this digital age. The clash was no longer about one individual. It became a case study in online power, audience perception, and ethical engagement. Narrator. And in every share, every comment, every discussion sparked by that moment, the impact deepened. Millions learned a lesson that spectacle alone cannot dictate influence. Integrity endures where performance fades. Even casual viewers, initially tuning in for entertainment, became part of a larger discourse. The clip was embedded in debates about media literacy, online civility, and leadership. Teachers used it as an example of restraint and strategic communication, while digital strategists analyzed it for lessons in audience engagement. The singular encounter rippled across spheres far beyond the screen, becoming emblematic of a broader truth. Influence is sustained not by theatrics, but by thoughtfulness and clarity. Despite the flood of attention, Crockett remained composed, her public statements reinforcing her core message that respect, preparation, and logic could triumph in a world dominated by noise. Fans celebrated her approach, emphasizing that this moment had shifted expectations for public discourse, showing that a single act of disciplined composure could catalyze conversation, reflection, and admiration across diverse audiences. The viral wave continued for days, trending on platforms, inspiring reaction videos, parodies, and earnest discussions. From influencers to academics, everyone dissected the moment, and its resonance grew beyond the initial clip. It had become a cultural touchstone, a digital age parable about the enduring power of calm intellect over performative chaos. End tease. And the conversation it sparked was about more than a single clash. It was about influence, integrity, and who defines the narrative. The event had transcended entertainment, becoming a moment of reflection, a lesson in leadership, and a challenge to how society perceives authority and power in the viral era. Millions witnessed it, and millions carried it forward, forever changed by the quiet force of measured brilliance. As the digital dust settled, the true significance of Crockett's response began to crystallize. Beyond the viral views, trending hashtags, and reaction videos lay a deeper, more enduring lesson. In a world dominated by spectacle, true influence emerges from composure, integrity, and clarity. The clash with MrBeast, initially framed as entertainment, revealed a timeless truth about leadership and communication in the modern era. Narrator. In the age of endless notifications, viral stunts, and performative chaos, one voice proved that dignity still commands attention. Crockett's measured response was more than a rebuttal. It was a statement about values, about holding oneself to a standard that refuses to be pulled into the spiral of mockery or sensationalism. Her calm, precise articulation demonstrated that substance could resonate more powerfully than theatrics. That restraint could amplify a message far louder than shouting ever could. The story of Crockett's moment spread not just as a viral clip, but as an example of ethical courage in action. It reminded viewers that influence is not inherently tied to popularity or clout. Instead, it is rooted in authenticity, knowledge, and the ability to stand firm under pressure. Social media commentary echoed this sentiment. Teachers praised the clip as a lesson in rhetoric. Digital strategists highlighted her mastery of audience perception, and everyday viewers reflected on what it meant to engage with civility while still making an impact. Paraphrasing Crockett, "You don't need to shout to be heard. Truth has its own volume." Those words became the guiding principle for the discussion surrounding the event. They resonated not only because of the immediate viral impact, but because they challenged the prevailing notion that attention equals authority. In this instance, it was measured thoughtfulness that commanded both respect and engagement. Her actions reminded the audience that real power lies in how one responds to provocation, not how loudly one reacts. Narrator. In a world chasing clicks, her calm became the echo of integrity. The cinematic tension of the initial encounter, the buildup of viral anticipation, and the immediate shock of her counterattack all culminated in this quiet yet profound lesson. It demonstrated that restraint can be weaponized not for suppression, but for amplification, turning a single moment into a cultural touchstone that millions could reference as an example of ethical influence and strategic poise. The moral extended beyond politics or social media. It became a commentary on leadership, media literacy, and personal conduct in an era that often rewards the loudest voices. Crockett's approach reframed public discourse, showing that clarity of thought, calm under pressure, and unwavering principles could outshine even the most dazzling display of spectacle. The resonance of her conduct invited reflection. What does it mean to truly be heard in a world full of noise? The answer, her moment suggested, lies in discipline, intelligence, and moral fortitude. As audiences absorbed the lesson, engagement shifted from mere admiration to introspection. Conversations erupted across comment sections, live streams, and news forums about how we measure influence and success. Was it viral views or meaningful impact? MrBeast's mockery became secondary to the lasting impression of Crockett's integrity, proving that a single act of composed brilliance could redefine expectations across digital platforms. End line. Because sometimes the loudest clapback is composed restraint. In that simple principle, the audience found inspiration, a call to value substance over performance, and a reminder that dignity remains a potent force in shaping perception, discourse, and culture. The encounter had moved from a fleeting viral sensation to a timeless lesson, reaffirming that calm, informed, and principled voices still have the power to shape narratives, influence millions, and leave an unforgettable mark. Dignity outshined mockery, once again. In a world saturated with spectacle, viral stunts, and performative noise, Jasmine Crockett's measured response to MrBeast reminded viewers that true influence comes not from volume, but from poise, clarity, and conviction. Her moment became more than a clapback. It became a symbol of restraint, a blueprint for how to navigate provocation with intelligence and integrity. As the dust settles on the viral storm, it's worth asking, whose voice defines your America, the loudest or the most grounded? Crockett's example challenges each of us to reflect on the power of composure in shaping conversations, influencing communities, and commanding respect without resorting to theatrics. It's a call to elevate discourse, to value substance over performance, and to recognize that restraint can often speak louder than spectacle. If you believe composure is strength, share this story. Let others witness how dignity can turn a moment of mockery into a lesson in influence. Subscribe for more stories where truth, calm, and courage outshine ego, and where ordinary moments are transformed into viral lessons of integrity. Your engagement ensures that these narratives reach those who need to see that measured brilliance still matters in a world chasing clicks. Fade out with a final reflection overlay. Respect isn't weakness, it's power under control. Let that thought linger. Let it inspire conversations, guide reactions, and remind everyone that, in the arena of public discourse, strength is not measured in decibels but in discipline, in clarity, and in the courage to stand unwavering when the world expects chaos. The story of this moment is over, but the lesson it imparts will echo far beyond any screen, challenging each of us to lead, respond, and influence with dignity at the forefront.